So good morning, everybody. Welcome back to week 2. It's our week 2 of the daily intimacy. It's been so great to be here with all of you. And I just want to say I missed you yesterday. I have a Monday morning commitment that I was happy to be participating in, but I missed all of you and being here. So welcome and welcome back, and welcome to those of you who are here for the first time this week. I'm really happy to have Kim here, Kim Childs. I'll introduce her in a moment, but first I wanted to begin with a centering and also an invitation again to just check in the chat box, how you're doing, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being terrific this morning, 1 being not feeling really great, maybe having some fear, anxiety. Sometimes we wake up with that. And so if that's how you're feeling today, then your feelings are welcome. Every part of you, everything that's happening is welcome here. Good morning, Margaret. 8 on this beautiful morning. Yes. Okay, so I just want to invite you to have a nice deep breath and exhale with me. And let's do that one more time before we close our eyes. So a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale. And then gently let your eyes rest. Continuing to breathe in through the nose. And right out through the mouth, just to get that oxygen flowing in and releasing, flowing in and releasing this morning. As you breathe in, I invite you to say the word energize to yourself. Breathing in the word energize. Breathing out the words let go. When we say let go, we're just inviting anything that's not energizing for you, anything that would bring your energy down, to release. And you don't have to know what those things are. You just hold the intention. So again, inhale, energize. And exhale, let go. And continuing with those two mantras, inhale, energize, and exhale, let go. I invite you to imagine yourself standing or sitting or even lying down on the earth. And taking a moment to really connect with her. Just noticing the soles of your feet connecting to the earth. And then from the soles, sending roots down, all the way down to the center. Relaxing at the base of your body. If you're in touch with the pelvic floor, I just invite you to intentionally relax the pelvic floor. Those are the muscles right at the base of your body. And when we relax them, we ground and connect more deeply to the earth. Good. And then one more time, inhaling, energize, and exhaling, let go. Good. And I invite you to then gently open your eyes and come on back. Just a reminder about Zoom, you can, when Kim's speaking, if you would like to, you can put her on speaker view. I find it doesn't hold 100%. So another way to keep on your own screen the person who's speaking, to keep them there, there's a little thumbtack icon, thumbtack. If you just put your cursor over the person's picture, like if you put it right now on Kim's, on the top left, you see a thumbtack. And if you touch that thumbtack, it makes Kim be on your screen, or you can do it for anybody. And that way, for sure, she stays in the forefront of your screen, if that's what you'd like. If you like gallery view, the Hollywood Square thing, then just keep it in gallery view. Whatever works for you, but I just wanted to give that little tip. So good morning, Kim. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, Kim is someone that I've known in community and life for, I don't even know how long now. I'm going to say 15 years because it's probably been that long.
I think
Um,
so.
there was a time that we shared an office in Arlington and office space. And I know Kim to be somebody who brings, it's interesting that you studied positive psychology because like I know you to be somebody who is always has this positive, bright energy. And
Mm.
so it just fits so well. And Kim's been working as a life and career coach for many, many years. You can say more about that if you'd like, but I'm just so happy to have you here because I know you're bringing this wonderful energy to all of us, which is absolutely needed during a time like this. So I'll turn it over to you. Before, actually, one more thing. Just wanted to remind everybody that this is interactive. So, we like to have an active chat. Please ask questions in the chat. Please raise your hand in the chat. Kim will also be asking, for feedback and your input, and we'd love to hear from you. And especially this is a time to, as a possibility and an option to get a little personal feedback and coaching because you're here and Kim's available and I'm available. So if there is something that's just going on for you specifically that you would like some input on, just know that that's available to you. Okay, turning it over to you, Kim.
Thank you. And you know what I forgot to mention? If everyone has access to a pen and paper, that could be helpful.
Great.
Not necessary, but this is an interactive presentation time together. And in addition to typing in the chat, yeah, go ahead and grab a pen and paper or a journal, notebook, because we're going to be doing some exercises that you might want to remember your answers to. So that's an invitation. I'll give everybody a moment to do that who wants to do that.
Could also maybe type in the notes section of your computer.
Yep.
Have your like your phone if you want also.
Yep, or the notepad, right?
Yeah.
And so first of all, I just want to appreciate you, Robyn. Yeah, I mean, we have known each other now for, I think it's 15 years, and you have been a bright light too, in a deep way. You have this beautiful, deep beauty and shining light that comes out of you. So, I bought my car from you.
So, I forgot about that.
yeah, you sold me your Prius in like 2010. So when I'm in it, I think of you too. So, you said something a moment ago, which is why positive psychology now, or how we especially need it now. And what I want to say is what positive psychology is not is a glossing over of problems. It's not a denial of problems. It's not a denial of pain or hardship. It's a field of positive psychology, rather. It's a branch of psychology that came about in the 90s, the late 90s, when a group of leading psychologists got together and said, psychology has focused primarily on pathology, what's wrong with people and how can we help them with their mental health. And these folks said, what if we look at people who thrive and flourish and are resilient in life no matter what has happened to them? How do they navigate the hardships and remain optimistic and resilient and strong? And so they began studying what people do to cultivate those states and practices and habits of mind, choices of mind and habits of mind and body, lifestyle choices as well, that cultivate these states. And there is research that shows that we're all born with a certain happiness set point, and it's genetic. But we can actually now, the epigeneticists are discovering that we can change our happiness set point with our behavior and our thinking. So the good news is that even if you were born with a lower happiness set point, you can affect it by some of the practices I'm going to be offering today. And we are all born with what my favorite neuropsychologist, Rick Hansen, calls our negativity bias. We are born with that negativity bias to survive. The part of our brain that looks for danger all the time is trying to make sure we're safe. So scanning for danger and problems is a human biologically wired tendency that we all have. The problem is when it gets stuck in looking for problems and danger, we are literally blinding ourselves to all that's going right in our lives. And we are limiting our creativity and our resourcefulness when we're only focused on problems. So that's what I want to say at the start is if you find yourself, struggling with negativity, welcome to the human race. It's just part of what we do. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today are some ways to consciously adjust that in an upward direction. So that's what I want to say about positive psychology. There are some books, a wonderful book, the father and mother of positive psychology, so-called. The father is Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman, if you want to look into his books, especially Flourish, is a great book. He and the mother of positive psychology is Sonia Lyubomirsky. She's from Russia, and she's written The How of Happiness is one of her books, The Myths of Happiness. But they both describe themselves as pessimists, born pessimists, who learned to cultivate more optimism and positive thinking through these practices that they learning what works through the research. So I want to share a quote with you guys. It's from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "To get up each morning with the resolve to be happy is to set our own conditions to the events of each day. To do this is to condition circumstances instead of being conditioned by them." So positive psychology is about fortifying ourselves to deal with the inevitable pain, losses, disappointments of life. How can we build a stronger fort to weather the storms of life? And I also want to say that it's not always about being happy and joyful, which for some people is hard. It's hard to get from where we are some days to happy and joyful. But other positive emotions include awe, reverence, curiosity, gratitude, certainly, compassion, love, connection. These are what I call lower shelf, sometimes positive emotions. If happy and joy feel unattainable on certain days, go for the lower shelf positive emotions to fortify yourself. So, like I said, if the terms happy and joy kind of make you bristle, then consider, how can I fill my day today with more kindness, more love, more appreciation of beauty, more connection, more reverence for things that are bigger than me, and awe. And humor is a positive emotion. So that's my little intro to positive psychology. I'd love to hear in the chat or see in the chat, is anyone familiar with positive psychology? Have you read any books, studied any video online courses, have any experience with positive psychology? My own teacher was Tal Ben-Shahar. I learned from him at Kripalu and an organization called the Whole Being Institute. And Tal was a Harvard, I think he was a TA. He was never actually a professor at Harvard, but he created a positive psychology at Harvard, and it became Harvard's most popular class ever. So that says something. So new to me sounds awesome. Great, wonderful. So today I'm going to invite you to sample some of what I call the greatest hits of positive psychology practices. Oh, good. Someone's saying positive reframing. Yes, absolutely. Positive reframing. We'll talk about that. So my presentation today is interactive. I love that you're chiming in. And I will be giving you some resources to try out too. Like I said, the two authors that I mentioned, Martin Seligman and Sonia Lyubomirsky, that's a mouthful. But if you want to reach out to me anytime after this presentation, yeah, should I type her name in? Let's see, S-O-N, I think it's J-A-L-Y-U-B-O-R. Mirski. Did I do that right? Sonja. How's that for a mouthful? So here we are. We're going to start in with some actual positive psychology practices. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes again and take a deep breath in and let it out through your mouth. Now that I've been kind of coming at you with information, just go inside yourself. And I'm going to ask you some questions to answer in your mind for now. And then later you can write them down or write them in the chat or both. The first question is, as you think about your life right now, what is going well? Identify one particular area. It could be in the health realm, the home realm, the family realm, the work realm, the hobby or creativity realm, the environment realm, finances. Identify one area or thing in your life that's actually going well right now. And then the second question is, why is it going well? Why do you think that's going well? Are you making it go well? What are you doing to make it go well? What conditions or people or circumstances are helping that area go well? Next question. What are two specific things you're grateful for or appreciating right now? And be specific. Instead of saying my health, saying my body's resilience perhaps, or my immunity, right? So what are two specific things for which you're grateful or appreciative right now? And then again, ask why. That helps wire it in. The gratitude is more heartfelt when we consider, why am I grateful for that thing or person or condition or pet? And then the next question is, what is something I'm looking forward to today, this week? Something I'm looking forward to. And the second question there is, how can I set it up to go well? This thing I'm looking forward to, what can I do to make it go well? Optimize it. And it can help to even, some of you follow Abraham here, pre-pave it. So that means imagine the thing you're looking forward to going well. What would that look like for this to go well? How would you be showing up to help it go well? And now the next question is sort of on the flip side, regarding something I'm upset or concerned about. So call to mind something you're concerned about, worried about, and identify the solution or resolution you desire. Simply said, what would I like instead? I'm imagining this thing that I'm concerned about or upset about or worried about or hurt about. What would I like instead? And a follow-up to that even would be, what is a small step I can take toward this solution or resolution I desire? And then finally, as you think about 2019, it's not that long ago, last year, or even more recently, can you call to mind an experience that you initially identified as bad that actually had perhaps a good or beneficial outcome? Call to mind an experience in the last year that you initially deemed bad that ended up having some kind of benefit or good outcome. Okay, I said that was the last one, but I'm gonna add one more. Call to mind or heart something you desire today. Identify one desire. I desire to get out for a walk. Ride my bike,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I would suggest, I'm not sure what you're going to do with those questions, Kim, now, but I would love to hear from people in the chat. And also, you know, one of those or two of those might have stood out more in a more resonant way for you. So if there's anything you'd like to share, unmute yourself and share, that would be great. Maybe one question that stood out for you like the most, it was the most potent for you and you'd like to share with us or get some feedback from us. Please put me in the chat if you'd like to be unmuted or unmute yourself. And yeah, which one, Kim, would you like to hear in the chat? I think because there were several, can we just go back to one that you want to hear in the chat?
I think I like your question. Which one resonated the most? I'd like to hear an answer from, oh, somebody wants, I think that's a desire probably. Someone says, oh, big, wonderful hug. I know. Hey, listen, everybody, let's do this right now. Give yourself a hug, because if you don't live with people, and yeah, there we go. If you don't live with people, you're hug deprived at the moment, right? So yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, so was there a question that resonated with you? One that was difficult for you? An answer you'd like to share?
I can share. I really liked the question and the reframing about what was making me upset. And I've known like what I need to do to work on it. And it's just a nice practice of reframing of what would I like instead, what's the small action. So setting aside an hour today to work on my website and to plan the next set of goddess circles. It's also what I'm excited about that's coming up. So I have one spot left tonight. So.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, so identifying what the upset, and then very soon moving to what would I like instead. What that's called is solutions focus. So in positive psychology and in coaching, of course, people come to coaching with problems, challenges, issues, right? And like I said earlier, because of our negativity bias, we're really used to focusing on the problem. And it literally is sticky. Problems are stickier in the brain. Negativity is stickier in the brain. So we focus on and remember problems and kind of let the good stuff kind of wash off. Rick Hansen, that same neuropsychologist, talks about how we are Velcro for negativity and Teflon for positivity. So we're used to focusing on the problem, and in asking the question, a solutions focus, what would I like instead, guides us to open and expand our thinking and our creativity to what would I like instead, and what's a small step I can take toward that solution or resolution I desire. Yeah.
I think I'd like to go to the question that I thought was really interesting, Kim, was what's one thing that's going well and why? I would really love to come back to that question.
Yeah.
And have people post or put me in the chat if you'd like to share. So let's hear from as many people as possible. What's one thing that's going well and why you think it's going well. Put that in the chat, and if you want to share, put me in the chat, and we will. Oh, and Arlene's already got her hand raised. Awesome. Okay, Arlene, I am going to unmute you and have you share, and the rest of us will continue listening and also put your answer in the chat. What's one thing that's going well and why?
I was actually responding to a different question, which was an experience initially identified as bad with a beneficial outcome. And I actually chose one that I think is one of the most powerful, life-changing things that happened to me, which was I was driving once and a squirrel darted out in front of me, and I had to slam on my brakes. And I was really upset that that happened. And I started up slowly. And as I was starting up, I was approaching a street, and it was winter. And these kids had decided to use the street as a toboggan. And they came flying out from behind bushes right in front of my car. And if I had been going normal speed, I would have killed them.
Wow.
Ever since then, like if I get stuck in traffic, I don't get upset, or if I'm late for something, I think back to the incident, and I think the universe is telling me to trust the timing. And a lot of times when I do, amazing things come of that. I might meet someone I wouldn't have met, other things.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Arlene. Next up, we have Linda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kim. My question was about when you had mentioned what is going well when you first started, and you mentioned a few categories. I love what Robyn said, anything. That's a great perspective, but I wondered if you had specific, you mentioned finances, personal, or I'm not sure exactly, but I would love to hear you elaborate on that.
Sure. Is it okay if I use you as a test?
Sure.
Okay, great. So, yeah, so for instance, what's going well for me right now is more connection with my neighbors, 6 feet apart, of course, but I'm finding, because I live alone, and my need for human companionship and connection, besides virtual, it gets me outside. And so yesterday we had a lovely 6 feet apart lunch in the backyard of my neighbor, where we had BYO lunch, and ate 6 feet apart and chatted and so forth. So connection with neighbors is going well for me. So areas like health, hobby, or creativity. Some people are using this time right now to learn a skill or a language, or do some one of my clients is doing some creative writing for the first time in a long time because she has the time. So hobby or creativity, health, family is another category. Work certainly could be a category. Home, maybe people are taking this time to fluff their nest a little bit more and beautify their homes. And what was another one? getting outside, nature, environment.
Yeah, some people are starting to exercise outside in ways that they haven't been before or haven't been able to commit to. And now it's like we have to. So there's becoming this pattern of walking. And
Right.
here Amy wrote, like, my eating's going well because I'm staying present and staying true to my desires to be healthy and taking sunshine. Wait, I lost it. Yeah, taking good care of myself. And I think, during this time, one of the things that is happening is that we're getting so present because we need to be so in the moment, with things changing so much every hour. It's like, what else can we do but stay present in the moment if we can? I know that that's also not possible for everybody all the time. Certainly not me, but and Jess writes, my relationship with my partner is going so well because our ability to hold space and communicate, reflect, and listen to each other. Pat wrote, thankful for extended family's health, physically and psychologically, thankful for spring, flowers, sunshine, all good things.
Brian's eliminating
clutter and organized. Yeah.
Good job.
Yay. And Laura's ready to share, which is awesome. Yeah, Brian, I'm doing that too. It's really great.
Can I just check in with Linda before we?
Yeah.
Did that help, Linda? Are you good with categories?
Yes, okay. Very much. And I appreciate everyone's input too. Thank you.
Great. And can you identify an area that's going well for you right now?
Yes, it is also getting outside, at various points of the day and enjoying the spring much more.
Yeah, wonderful. And before we move on to the next speaker, Robyn, I just want to say, this is nightly practice. At the end of the day, you can sit before you go to bed and write down 3 things. So you hark back through the day and say, ask yourself, what are 3 things that went well today? And then ask why they went well. And why we do that is it to help you see your own part in making things go well. Why am I enjoying more connection with my neighbors? Because I'm reaching out, I'm making plans, I'm getting outside. So asking why, what are 3 things that went well today and why did they go well, to see how you can make things go well and what conditions support things going well.
Awesome. That's like an additional piece that I think maybe comes from positive psychology.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
We want to see how when things are, we want to always remember our own strengths and capabilities and abilities, no matter the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's really important. So I just unmuted Laura.
Hi. So thank you so much. I'm really appreciating your guidance this morning. I started out in pretty low space, and I'm noticing the energy uplifting. I had a metaphorical dream, was a huge dream around grief, basically that we're all dying. And I know that's part of the process before we begin anew. But I woke with a lot of grief this morning, and I'm noticing, I definitely, I love Rick Hanson's works, but I have some bias towards, what you mentioned sometimes as a perception of positive psychology, the light and fluff. But I found by just kind of going deeply and authentically into these questions, the one like what's going well, and I feel a lot of like energy and kind of joy starting to bubble up around like really the quality of presence that I feel with my children. It's pretty amazing, actually, this opportunity. What a gift after my initial resistance to work from home was really intense. And I just thought, we're going to just be on top of each other. My daughter's home from college, my son in high school, and we're all, my small house. How are we going to do this? But it's actually, our relationship is deepening. There's a lot more intention. I'm actually here for dinner every night. I'm not, there's more time. There's a lot of commitment. There's some struggle, but we're having family meetings and we're going on walks together. And I did a partial day retreat at home with my daughter. So, so I'm just really feeling the richness of that. This is just this really deep opportunity. And it was hard to do this somehow without this pandemic, be present in this way with each other. So anyway.
Oh, I love your share. Thank you so much. And what I want to say is that my professor would always, my teacher, Tal Ben Shahar, would always say to us, no one would ever say that everything happens for the best. No one would ever say that, right? But the happiest, most optimistic, resilient people, I would say, are those who make the best of what happens, right? And so, excuse me, it's called in positive psychology benefit finding. How can we make the best of what is happening here? And maybe that simply means, how can I bring my best self to this? How can I bring my most loving, heart open, compassionate self to this situation? How can I show up as the best me for this situation? You know, so looking for any blessings, gains, growth, or gifts from hardships. And your beautiful description, Laura, of how it's enriching your family life is a wonderful example. I'm hearing that from clients too, like people who spent, 70 hours away from home every week with their high-powered job are now home more, and they're developing schedules with the family. Oh, here is our work time. Okay, everybody's going to go away and do their work. Now we're going to have break time. We're going to have exercise time. We're going to have fun time. And so there's an opportunity in every crisis. There's an opportunity, right? The Chinese, they write the character for danger or crisis. It also means opportunity. So the opportunity we are being offered as a human race is to balance our lives and create more meaningful connection, I think. And like Robyn said, be present. And you're saying be present to each other in the family. So yes, it has challenges because we all have buttons that get pushed. But the opportunity and the way you're embracing it, it's a beautiful example. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Anyone else want to share about what's helping so far? Someone says, reminding me of the Monty Python verse, look on the bright side of life. Yes, always look on the bright side of life. And it doesn't mean we don't have time for grief or make space for grief, right? We are letting go of life as we knew it. There is a collective grieving going as well.
Who posted that about the Monty Python? Because it didn't go to everybody, and I would love to see the comment.
Pat?
Pat. Yeah, sometimes it gets stuck in the private communications and doesn't go to everybody. You have to click back on the word everyone. And then your posts go to everyone. And I love Monty Python, so it made me ask. So Diane says, another thing I'm grateful for is this time to really go in deep. Yeah. Because I'm with only myself so much more of the time without distractions, and be courageous to face the tough stuff. Yeah. Yes. No. If you want to say more about that, you're welcome to. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
This
is in a time of enforced stillness in some ways, and enforced aloneness for some, and an invitation to go inside. And to do, so we want to think about on the other side of this, as we do whatever work we're doing now, inner, outer, relationship work, family work, decluttering our homes, taking care of our health. Many people wrote in the chat, they're practicing better self-care now. So as we could consider this, as long, and I want to just say my compassion for anyone who knows someone who is sick, or has been affected by this physically. But as long as we are healthy, we can consider this a preparatory time. How can we prepare to be different on the other side of this, to be better versions of ourselves, happier, more present, more connected, more aware of what truly matters to us, what's truly meaningful to us. We're kind of being stripped away. The external is being stripped away, and we're forced to go inside here, but also in our homes and in our families, and families of choice too. Who's in my family of choice? I want to mention too, there's a wonderful list going around the internet that I shared in my recent blog. If you want to read my blog, I say more about this kind of stuff, and I call it Coping and Hoping in the Coronavirus Crisis. So if you go to kimchilds.com, that's my name, my latest blog, it offers resources for coping and cultivating hope in this time too, kimchilds.com. But there's a wonderful list that's going around right now called Daily Questions to Ask Yourself in Quarantine. And one of them is, here we go, what am I grateful for today? The other question is, who am I connecting with or checking in with?
I don't know if this shows up on that, Kim, but the question that I love that just keeps coming to me, so I want to say it out loud, is, and maybe we've talked a little bit about this in one of the daily intimacies, but 2 weeks, let's just say 2 weeks post, quarantine, what do you want to look back at and have gained from the experience? Like what's one or two things that when you look back at it, you'll feel grateful that, you've gained whatever it is. And I don't know if that was going to come up in your daily question, but it's been a daily question
that
on my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a really good question. It brings us to being even more intentional and conscious during this time.
Right.
Which is the counter to all the fear and anxiety out there, and sometimes in here,
Yeah,
so,
and it sort of points to what I said a moment ago. How can we use this as time to prepare for being better versions of ourselves, happier versions, or whatever word you want to use on the other side of this? And you remind me of a great exercise in positive psychology called the best possible future self, where you project yourself into a future time, a year, 2 years, this summer, this fall, whatever. And you kind of go into a little imagination scripting of how you'd want to be, how you want your life to be. You imagine the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep, what are you living on this future day in time? Your health, your well-being, who are you with, who are you spending your day with, what kind of work or contribution are you doing in the world, where are you living? It's a fun exercise where you project yourself into the future. You take a slice, a day in your life of that future time, and you script it out. You write it. You set a timer for 20 minutes and you write this script. In the present tense, I wake up and I'm so excited to go to today's meeting with Robyn and talk about the retreat we're planning, and then what that does is cultivate positive emotion in the act of writing and imagining, but it gives you this script, which is what you're talking about. If I want to come out of this better, what might that look like? And then you back up and say, if that's my desire and desired outcome, what am I going to do today toward that? So it gives us a blueprint to guide our actions in this day toward that outcome we desire later. So if you want to look back on the quarantine time and say, well, my house got cleaner and brighter and lighter, would that indicate doing some decluttering today?
I love when you said, if I want to come out of this better, what would that look like? I got the chills when you said that. Yeah, it's a really, really good question. And I love I'm all over this stuff, right? Like that's my life, it just resonates completely, but, writing the script and then, we have all this time. So what occurred to me, which might be interesting, is to take an hour or two or a full day and be that, because in my world, there's not really linear time. It's like, it's all happening. It's all in the energetic space. Whatever you're imagining 2 years from now or 2 months is actually already here. And so you can practice that. Like, I love that idea of taking like half a day on a Saturday. So that's often an exercise that I give to my clients, like to try something out, to create a little space for it. So I wonder what that would be like to try that out. Really asking myself that question.
Yeah,
for half a day.
Act as if, right?
Act as if, yeah, exactly.
That's great. Well, I'll just go finish the quarantine questions.
Yeah.
What am I grateful for? Who am I checking in or connecting with today? And this is a cool one, what expectations of normal can I release today? Or maybe another way to say that is, how can I accept what feels difficult to accept today? The other one says, how can I get outside? How can I move my body today? And then finally, what beauty, or I would add goodness or kindness, am I cultivating or creating or inviting in today? So how can you, and I'd like to hear from anybody who'd like to share. Is there any way, it's a sunny day, spring is here, a desire you have for this day, or a way you want to bring beauty or kindness or goodness to your day today? Anyone want to share about that? It'd be fun to hear. I'm going to go for a walk and really consciously soak up the sun. And, oh, here we go. Getting out into the woods. Yeah. Off trail.
Yeah, I want to say that yesterday I went out with my daughter into the woods and she was like, what are we doing? We're not on the trails. I was like, come on, we're going. And we just like bushwhacked through. We went up and down and it was messy and muddy, but it was great. It was different and we weren't around people, which was my goal. So it added a lot to the day to do that.
Beautiful. Yeah, there are so many opportunities to do differently right now. Like you're pointing that out, right? So we get into a trance in life. We get into a trance of doing the same things and same ways and such. And this is really forcing us to halt and redirect, right? And course correct. And Linda says nourishing foods, wonderful. Oh, Erin, doing more gardening and hiking and homesteadish stuff. Oh, that's fun. My neighbors, the one I spoke of earlier that we had the 6 feet apart lunch yesterday, they're making candles and soap at home. Connect.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a great idea.
Brian wants to connect. Wonderful. Yeah. Reach out. You know, there's something very equalizing about this experience on some level. You can call a friend and immediately you know pretty much what you're both going to talk about right away. And there's in an age where there's like a zillion TV channels and programs we could all be watching. This has brought us together around one subject in a unique way, in a painful way, a challenging way, but there's something that's connecting us about this. And if we take advantage of the opportunity, like Brian's going to do, to reach out and connect with people. I was thinking the other day, you know, when you watch movies and TV shows and when they go to their neighbor's house, someone's always home. Like they knock on the door and someone's always there and you're like, really? Like how often does that happen? But now everybody's home. So, you know, it is a time of if you want to, if it feels, if the invitation is there to get to know your neighbors, even if it's, you know, in Arlington, they're doing a 6 at 6 now. At 6 p.m., you go to your window or you hang out the window or you go to your porch and wave to a neighbor, chat with a neighbor, fostering that sense of community, even in a time of enforced staying at home.
Yes, we've been doing that. We, my neighbor and I on the back deck talked about having like Friday night dinner, you know, together. I guess you did that same thing. Yeah. What are other ideas from people? We have a couple more minutes. Love to hear anything else anybody wants to say or add to the conversation. Or how about actually erase that because we're coming towards the end. Let's have everybody type in the chat what one thing, just one thing you're taking away from today.
I'd love to hear
one thing that you're taking away from today.
Yeah. And while they're doing that, I want to say that I'm offering as a coach a special, I'm calling them Cope and Hope sessions. It's a 55-minute session, private session, where we look at the challenges that are biggest for you right now and thought partner, co-create strategies around solving the challenge. And then the second half of the time is planting seeds for that future you, something you want to live into and experience after this is over. So the Cope and Hope sessions with me, they're $88, and that's a discounted fee for this time. And they're 55 minutes over Zoom or Skype or FaceTime. So you can reach out to Kim at kimchilds.com to schedule one or learn more, share with me how this was. I welcome your input. So let's see. There was a question related to something you wish you could change or handle differently. I don't recall the language. Caused me to acknowledge that I was triggered recently by someone, and it's my responsibility. Yeah, it's up to me to manage the response, right? Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. The only thing we can ever control in life is our response. And by the way, what my teacher also drilled into us all the time was that we need to give ourselves permission to be human. So human beings have emotional responses. And it's said that like if we give them 90 seconds of our attention, an emotion will pass if we don't try to stuff it down. So acknowledge, feel, have your emotions, and then ask that question. The question was, what would I like instead? What would I like instead of this problem, this challenge? Or what is the solution I desire? Nightly reflections, great. That's the what went well today practice. You do it at night, asking what went well and why. Yep, identifying and asking what is going well, even when it's easy to focus on what's not. Great. Yep. Contact people I haven't spoken to in a while. Yeah, dreaming into the 2 weeks out, writing it down. Yep. Focusing on gratitude and appreciation. I feel more connected because of these gatherings early in the day. Yeah, beautiful, taking connection into the day. It's okay to see the positives and work toward them. Yep.
That's such an important one, Pat. I just wanted to pause there. It's okay to see the positives and strive toward them. I think that, seeing the positives in today's time can sometimes stir some things up, like I don't deserve, or I feel guilty if I feel positive, or I shouldn't.
Yes.
I'm supposed to. And so thank you for naming that, Pat.
Right. As I said at the top, positive psychology is never about pretending problems aren't there. It's about very quickly moving to what would I like instead, or how could I be part of the solution or call forth the solution. It's about bolstering our own strengths so that we show up for what's challenging as optimized, as fortified as we can. I'm going to type in here to everybody. Let's see. There's a strengths assessment, a free one that you can do.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. But also, Kim, I wonder, there's been some requests for the questions. So if you could email me all the questions that you asked, and I will send them out with the recording later on.
Mm-hmm.
So just a reminder to everybody, I'll be sending the recording out, and I'll have some additional information from Kim.
Sure. Yeah, and the link I just typed in viacharacter.org, you go to that link and spend about 20-ish minutes answering questions about you and how you see the world. It's free, and then you click submit and you get a report of your top character strengths and values. And the idea is to live your strengths and values, your top ones, as often as possible.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kim.
My pleasure. I love it. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for your feedback, Robyn, and your additions to what I was talking about. And thanks to everybody who posted or showed up to let me know how this went and what you enjoyed and what you learned. So I want to wish you all a sunny day from the inside out, as well as from the outside in. And if anything is hard, just be compassionate with yourself for what doesn't feel so sunny. Give yourself permission to be human and invite beauty and grace.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing your beautiful smile and your positive energy and all these resources and tools. I really appreciate it. And I want to remind everybody to use them, to practice them, to take them with you when you need them.
Thank you for saying that. Yes. Because if you want good biceps, you got to do this. If you want a positive outlet, you got to practice these practices. What Tom always say was information only leads to transformation with implementation.
Yes.
Try it at home.
And also to come back tomorrow, we have Maria Merloni, and she for sure is going to be sharing with us some great energy as well. And I think it's all about connecting with the self. And everyone's offering their different flavor and their style and their practices. And Maria's somebody that I work closely with, and looking forward to having her here. And then Lisa Campion on Thursday is a wonderful friend, total psychic woman, healer. So that's going to be powerful, no doubt. And on Friday, you've got me. I'm going to do what's his name does on The Voice. On Friday, you've got me.
Yay.
Yeah, and I'll say more about that later. Okay, lots of love to everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and have a really blessed day in whatever ways that you can. Lots of love. Mwah.
Thank you, everybody, for participating. Yay.
Yes, you're welcome, Brent. I'll leave the chat open for about 30 more seconds if anybody wants to put anything in. And I'll send the recording later, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.